I gotta say, your room looks a little similar to mine, mate. You got the cool toys behind you and your drums and
Uh,
stuff. Very nice.
I know. So I got the drums there, got all the 90s X-Men toys and the Kiss posters everywhere. And yeah, no, it's got to have a little man cave, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Simon from Brahmastra. I'm saying that right, yeah?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Welcome to Nightbreed, man. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really good. How about you?
Yeah, doing well, man. Doing well.
Awesome.
What prompted you to start Brahmastra?
Oh man, that's a good question. So basically, I was really into, my conspiracy theories and things like that, and my fiance actually bought me a guitar, and I was like, oh, I'll try and practice some licks and stuff like that, and then I had a Mac for ages, and I didn't even touch any recording stuff with it, and then I was like, oh, what if I record some guitar stuff in there to practice. And then I was just like, oh, I'll write some black metal riffs. And then I was like, hang on, I could probably do a whole album of this. And then it just went from there. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And where's the name Brahmastra come from?
So it's a Sanskrit word. It was used in like the Indian epics, like the Bhagavad Gita. And Brahmastra was a series of like weapons that they used in those epics. And if you look at some of the research, in India, there's like some of the sand has been scorched into glass and things like that. So they're like, hang on, this was written about thousands of years ago in these epics with these weapons called Brahmastra. And because I'm into ancient astronaut theory and things like that, I was like, oh, that's a cool name. I'll use that. So yeah.
Yeah, nice, man. So, well, I think I know a little bit, but tell us more about ancient astronaut theory. What's that about?
So the whole aspect of that is basically, I mean, you'd have to trim it down, but the world was created or seeded by, and man was created by ancient extraterrestrials and things like that. And the more I looked into it and the more research that I did, I was like, hang on, this actually makes sense to me. And so things that are written in the Bible, like the Book of Enoch and things like that, and the Indian epics, they said, they were in flying chariots and things like that. They didn't have words for spaceships or extraterrestrial craft. So I kind of subscribe to that notion that it's very true to me, and it speaks to me that, hang on, this is probably what's happened. The whole religious aspect of there's a God in the sky and we can't see it, and if you don't follow his ways, you're going to go to hell and stuff like that. But I haven't really seen much evidence of that, whereas I see way more evidence of extraterrestrial craft, especially in the last couple of years with the Nimitz incidents and things like that.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
So with black metal, what first you got you into black metal? When, like, obviously you're a Kiss fan. I love Kiss as well, but what first you got into the heavier stuff?
Oh man. So it took me a long time, really, to get into the more extreme sides of metal. I was always listening to Metallica when I was in high school, and then Pantera. And then as time went on, I started to listen, people were showing me death metal, and it really wasn't sitting with me. I was like, oh, it's cool. Some of the riffs are cool, but I wasn't really getting into it. And then I listened to Satyricon, Age of Nero, the album specifically, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like I just loved it. And then I got into like some of that more avant-garde sort of extreme music, like Dodom's Guard, listened to Behemoth, and but each, as the years go on, I still find new things to listen to, like at the at the moment I'm listening to a lot of Belphegor, which I probably wouldn't have maybe a couple of years ago, because they're a pretty good mix of like black and death metal, and I'm just obsessed with them at the moment. I think they're fantastic. Yeah.
So you've released 4 full lengths since 2016. How has your writing and recording process changed at all since then, since you started?
I think so. At first, with Alpha and Omega, I think I wrote that in like 3 weeks or something. I just recorded everything in 3 weeks, and because I just love doing music, and I'd come home and I'd work on it, and I just kept doing that every day because I enjoyed it. And then I was like, I'll release it. I knew nothing about mixing. And the good thing with black metal is you can kind of get away with that sometimes. So I was like, okay, that's all right. I can get away with this. So I put it out, and then, I'd look at more tutorials and things like that, or talking to my friends who run recording studios of like, oh, how can I make this better? And then, step that up to SS to Bet. And then, I took it more seriously, got better equipment, better DAWs to work with, and I really like the active mixing now. I think it's really fun. So each album I'll hopefully keep getting a bit better. The production will get to where I exactly want it to be. But so that's pretty much it. That's the recording process of that was just having a go, getting stuck into it, and then going, what stuff, I'll release it. And then as things go on, start looking into mixing and better production.
Yeah, nice. Metal Archive says you joined a French band in 2018. Is that right?
Yeah. So that was really cool. So I hope I pronounced this right. It's Malefice. I think that's correct. All the French people that know me are probably like, dude, what are you doing? But anyway, that's how I look at it. So when I released my second album, SS to Bet, my friend, and this is another name which I actually don't know how to pronounce. It's either Jochen or Jochen. I don't know which one it is. So I apologize to him. I'm sorry. I hope one of them's right, or at least closely correct. He was like, oh man, do you want to do a split album? So we did a split together, my band and Brahmastra, and then he's like, look, do you want to record some bass for my act or my group? And I said, yeah, sure, just send it through. Really easy like to deal with. Like he would just send me the stuff, gave me total like musical freedom on stuff like that, and I was just like, cool, man. So I would just record it, send it to him, and then I'd hear from him, in the next couple of weeks, going, oh man, it's released, here you go. And really cool guy, awesome dude. I owe a lot to him because he put me in contact with so many different people after that to help me release my stuff. So yeah, it's coolest thing that I've done, definitely.
Awesome. And is Malefice still, like, is there more stuff happening? Like, you got stuff coming out in the future?
I hope so. I think I was recording stuff for them last year. But yeah, I'm not sure when the next stuff is coming out. He sort of just sends me this stuff like, this is how it's going, what do you think? Put the bass down, cool. And I'll sort of just, I guess I just get hired in to do the bass. But yeah, awesome. The whole group are just awesome guys. Like drummers from Italy. Jochen is from France, and then there's me. So it's kind of like the UN of a metal band at the moment. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's great, man. So March this year, Brahmastra, you released Montauk Ultra. Am I saying that right?
Montauk Ultra, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about that cover diagram. What's all that about?
So the cover is actually from a lecture that a guy who was involved in the project called Preston Nichols was doing, and he was talking about the thing specifically called the Montauk chair. And I was like, well, that sums up everything about this album. So I had to try and hunt down the artwork as best I could, and get an artist to sort of recreate the lines, because obviously it wasn't high quality and stuff like that. So that is an actual diagram drawn by Preston Nichols, the man who was the whistleblower on the Montauk Project. Yeah.
Cool. So tell us about that. What's the Montauk Project and the Montauk Chapter?
Okay, so people probably know a bit about the Montauk thing now from the last couple of years because of Stranger Things. So, I was really into the research of this project years and years ago, but so it's a big combination of different things. So, it has mind control in there, had time travel in there. People getting abducted and experimented on, and there's been a few documentaries about it. Like the base is still it's still standing, and the radar system is still standing, but it's on government property now, so they kind of have fenced it off, and people still break in there, and it's eerie. It's freaky. There's like a little house that's all done in psychedelic wallpaper sort of stuff. The levels go down like underneath the ground, and people are still coming out saying, I was involved in the project. But yeah, it started off in the 40s with a guy called Al Bierlich, who was working on what they call gauzing on a ship for World War II. And the whole thing was they used some Tesla technology. They went to gauze the ship to hide it from radar. But what it actually did was it's gone into hyperspace, and then people were fused so it went out of our dimension, came into our dimension. People were stuck in the hull of the boat. Some people were they went psychotic. They didn't know where they were. And the story has it that Al Bierlich jumped overboard and went into like a time slip sort of thing. So yeah, from that technology from the 40s, they kind of kept progressing it into like the Phoenix Project, and then that went to what's called the Montauk Project, which is a total convoluted thing, which is why I could write 6 tracks about just that whole project. So yeah.
Cool.
If that makes sense to you.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really, really interesting to look at. Like Montauk Chronicles is a pretty cool documentary, but if you read up stuff online, listen to Preston Nichols lectures, Al Bierlich lectures, they talk about it. And the thing that makes it believable to me is they're not just some crackpots that are like, oh yeah, I worked on this government project and blah, blah, blah. These guys are like serious engineers, and they talk about all of this stuff in such amazing detail, and their story didn't waver for 15, 20 years. Like it was very believable to me, and it's a really interesting theory, but no one will ever know if it's totally true. But yeah, it's awesome. You should check it out anyway if you're into researching like black projects of America. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So is that so you're saying this, your latest one's sort of themed around that. Are your other releases all sort of theme ideas like that as well?
Yeah, all the albums I've done have been concept albums. So the first one, Alpha and Omega, went from ancient astronaut theory, the creation of man, and the monuments that we have, which we still can't replicate today, like the pyramids or Teotihuacan, or all those various temples that we have all over the world that we can't explain, that line up with the solstice and magnetic north and things like that, which is it's impossible for people to do that back in those times, thousands of years ago. So it goes through that, and then went through to sort of the downfall of man, which started with like religious concepts, and then New World Order, secret societies, and things like that, to Armageddon. That was the first concept album. The second one was about the Nazi involvement with UFO programs, and looks at the secret societies of that, like the Vril Society, their trip to Tibet, which was really mysterious, and some people think they know why. Some people just say, oh, they were just traveling. But to be honest, they are still the best Oriental scholars of the world that we've ever had. And then, there's the escape of two people that supposedly, if you follow the theories, one went to Aldebaran and one's gone to, one took a time machine, basically. And then the last one was, my third one was 12th Planet. That's all about the Anunnaki and the Sumerian tablets and the theories by Zachariah Sitchin. And then the last one was Montauk Project. So, they've all been concept albums because it's something that I really get into, and I research it as much as I can, and then I'm like, cool, I could write an album about this rather than just like one track or two tracks or something. Like, so I like to write whole albums about something, which is why they all sound completely different.
That's cool. So the most recent one, Darker Than Black, doing a physical release. How'd that come about?
So that was through one way or another, Johan. Again, I really hope I'm saying his name right. It's going to be so embarrassing. I've known him for like 4 years, but I still don't know how to say his name. He put me in touch with Darker Than Black Records because they did the vinyl release for SS Tibet as well, and so I was like, oh, cool. He might remember who I was, and then I just contacted them. And I said, look, would you be interested in doing, Montauk Culture? They said, yeah, cool, send it over, let's do it. And it was awesome. Like, once again, it's tied to Johan again. And just that's how it kind of worked out that way for releasing Montauk Culture.
Yeah, cool. I saw recently that you can't get SS Tibet on Bandcamp and stuff. Like, what happened there, mate?
You can't get anything on Bandcamp at the moment. They literally took it down. Look, the whole thing is called SS Tibet. It has stuff about the Nazi involvement with the UFO conspiracy. That's it. This is not an NSBM album. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to promote extremism. I'm not saying any race is better than the other. This is literally about the alien concepts that I like to write about. People have looked at it, probably gone, oh, it's got an SS logo, get rid of it, hate speech, whatever. YouTube took down just the song SS Tibet, which is bizarre because there's nothing about any hate speech. They put it in as hate speech. I wrote them this big spiel saying, I've looked through your terms and agreement. There's nothing here that's actually infringing on your hate speech policy. Please upload it again. I got a message back 3 minutes later saying, oh, no, we have reviewed it. No, it will never be back on YouTube. I'm like, well, hang on. This isn't a person even looking at this. This is just an AI sort of algorithm. And it's just gone, nah, cool. So threw that away. Bandcamp, I didn't even know it got taken down. YouTube was kind enough to at least email you and say this is getting taken down. Bandcamp literally just took every single album of mine off. No correspondence whatsoever. I've written to them several times saying, look, can you please put it back on? Or why did it get taken off first? And nothing. They won't even reply back. And Bandcamp was the best service in my opinion, and I think it still is really for any band. All these distribution services now are just about streaming. Like, oh, we'll get your song on Spotify, we'll get your song on Deezer. It's like streaming, you'll get like 0.01% of a cent each stream you get. And you want $13 a month from these people, like you are just throwing money out the water. Bandcamp was free, and you could actually literally sell your albums, which is what it's all about. You know, I don't give a crap about streams. I don't care if, you know, people listen to this song 30 times. I'd rather one person actually buy your album and go, yeah, cool. You know, that money actually went to you. It doesn't go to, you know, the Spotify advertisement or the person. You know, you're just getting leached now. You know, like bands are getting leached using these streaming services, and I don't know why no one's really kicked up a stink about it. You know, you look at these really famous people who are, you know, getting 30 million streams and they're making like $12,000. I mean, imagine if you had 30 million album sales. Like, I'm not saying, you know, it's all about money, but, you know, you got to make a good business decision for yourself. And I just think streaming's ruined, like, it's ruining the music industry, in my opinion. Like, people aren't going to buy or support their artists by buying their albums. They're just like, oh, I'll just look at it on Spotify. That's cool. I can put your album on Spotify or iTunes. It's like, man, like, go and get a physical copy or go and do a digital download of these guys. Like, actually support them. Bandcamp did that, but they just took it all down. So I'm still trying to fight it, because none of my stuff has any hate speech in there. I mean, what kind of NS black metal band would I be if one's about, you know, hate speech and Nazis and stuff, and then my next album's like a Middle Eastern style black thrash album? Like, it just doesn't make sense, you know. It's like a complete contradiction. So people just see the logo, or, you know, my stuff's been on sites or whatever, and they're like, oh, he's a Nationalist Socialist, take it down. It's like, man, read the lyrics. Like, the music sounds itself can't be filled with hatred or you know, try and persuade someone to commit hate crimes. The lyrics can, but if the lyrics say nothing like that, then there should be, like, it's fair game. Like, there's no hate speech. But anyway, you know, I could go on about this for hours. Sorry, man.
No, it's good, man. All right, yeah.
But like, the just censorship now is just ridiculous. Like, art is not to be censored, and if we have free speech in the world, or in your country at the least, like, you can't censor people. That's totally against free speech, you know. We're living in a strange time for that sort of stuff. I just don't understand how it even happened, you know. But yeah. There's
the YouTube thing remind me. So I've got I run Wrestle on Records. I just put out my and a couple of mates' music, and there's a video, Meat Fist. It's literally a song about making sausages, because the butcher who writes it, and it didn't get taken down, but I got an email saying this is adult content, and, you know, you have to have people that can only see this if they have over 18 and have a membership, and it's literally just about making sausages. There's nothing adult at all. Strange. Like, what?
I mean, man, like, I'm sure I could go on YouTube and find someone literally getting murdered on there. You know, you could find, you know, serious crime happening on YouTube. Oh, but that's okay, because it's a reporting thing. No, man. Like, how come music, lyrics, whatever, like, it's not going to hurt someone. Yeah, you know, we're actually seeing complete and utter violence and death on YouTube. Easy to find. Kids can watch it. You know, they'll find it. No worries. That doesn't get taken down. But yeah, because my album is called SS Tibet and it has a logo on it. No deal. See you later. You're out. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is there any chance Brahmastra will make it to the stage? Like, any chance you could do this with other musos or something?
I totally could. I'd like to. I really would. Like, I wouldn't say no to it if someone wanted to do it. I've never had anyone actually reach out and go, oh man, I heard your music. Like, are you gonna go on the stage and play it? Like, I've never had anyone say that, so it's never really come across my mind, like, to pursue you know, diligently or anything like that. But and I mean, half the people in Perth, they don't even know I do this. You know, they'll look at me and go, oh, you know, if they know who I am or whatever, they'll go, "Oh, you playing Psychonaut? Oh, you do, the tribute shows with like Black Sabbath and stuff like that." People don't even know I do this stuff. And most of the people that contact me or whatever, they're from, all over the world. No one's really from Perth. I think I've had like 2 guys who have messaged me, and that's because they found out I was from Perth and they wanted to get the vinyls off me and stuff like that. That's it. Other than that, no one really knows that I do this stuff. So, but I wouldn't be against it at all. I'd have to keep training my vocals to just get used to that punishment. Like I've only had to do it in the studio, so I can go and scream and record it and stuff like that. But I reckon to do a full rehearsal and stuff like that, I'd have to get my voice in some completely shredded shape, ready to keep going. I reckon that would be pretty difficult. But yeah, no, I've never really thought about pursuing it on the stage like diligently. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what's next for Romastro? Is there some kind of conspiracy theory you're interested in and looking up? Like,
the next one, bombshell of the year. The next one is gonna be not a concept album.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, yeah. All right. So, however, it is gonna stay speaking about ancient cultures, ancient alien theory, government projects, and secret societies. That's pretty much what I like to talk about anyway. So, I'll be singing about those songs and making music about them, but it's not going to follow a trend or a story this time. It's just going to be track by track sort of thing. And I think that's going to be good too, because it's going to give variation to the album. Like each one, like especially like 12th Planet, that was, it's about ancient aliens, the Anunnaki that came to the Middle East. So I made it a Middle Eastern style thrash black metal album. So, but it was like that the whole way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, if people are like, "Oh man, like I don't need to hear Aladdin mixed with black metal or whatever," for 40 minutes, so this will be good for people. They'll hear something that's probably got a bit of avant-garde synths, some ancient style music, and some furious black metal, and it'll probably give it a lot more variation for the listener. Yeah, so that's going to be the next one.
Cool. And just sort of know, like, you got a date in mind, or you just kind of chipping away, see what happens?
Nah, I think I just started recording last week. Like I still like to get the concepts in my head, like what topics do I want to cover in this album, and I choose them and then I research them and stuff like that. I'm like, cool, even though it's just one song each, it's still, you don't want to write lyrics and say wrong stuff about this, because that's not what it's about. You want to try and be as factual as possible. So this one, I just started doing the music. I think I've just finished one song, hopefully, and I'm probably going to make this one maybe a 10-track album, I hope. Something like that. But I want to take my time with this one, a little bit longer. I always feel like there's this rush. I start something and I'm like, oh man, I just want to finish. So I think I always rush too much in the process, whether that's recording, mixing, or writing. I kind of, because I just get really apprehensive about finishing it. It feels like a weight gets lifted off your shoulders when you release something. You're like, finally I've done it, But this one I want to really take the time and try and focus as much as I can, and not be in this mad rush, or this feel. So I'd presumably say next year. Yeah sometime probably around middle of next year.
Cool. All right, so before we wrap it up, how can people get your music, since there's no Bandcamp connection? How are we going to access your stuff?
I don't know. I'm trying to You tell me, because I'm trying to fix it now, man. Like, I'll always put stuff on YouTube anyway. Even if I have to release it on YouTube, whatever, that's cool. And if they pull it off YouTube, I don't know, put it on BitChute or whatever it is, or Rumble or something. Look, I just want the music to be heard, and that's it. And I don't mind. As of sales, don't know yet. Like, I think I'm gonna have to do that through probably my Facebook page, with the physical releases and stuff, and go, look, if you want albums, message me and I'll send them off to you. I think that's the only way I can do it. Or obviously they can go through the company that's pressed it. But yeah, it'll always I don't want to say the word always. It'll be up somewhere, whether that's YouTube or something like that. So that's the only way you can actually hear my stuff. Unfortunately, I have no revenue from this music at all anymore, like because Bandcamp took it away. But we're in a fighting spirit. We will win somehow. But yeah, it's mostly going to be YouTube. That's where you're going to hear my music, and probably through Facebook or something like that.
Yeah, cool, awesome. All right, man, thanks for your time, mate. It was awesome to chat.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, cool. Have a good one, man.
Cheers, you too, man.